This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow man-child Johnny Karlic. And I feel like, I know that we did a show for last week, but I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, big guy.
It's been a while.
It's been 2 weeks since I've seen you. I know we, like I said, did a show last week, but we recorded 2 in 1 weekend because you were at not San Diego Comic-Con.
I wish.
But you were at Wizard World last weekend. I'm going to ask you about that, but we're going to save that for the third topic, only because that's what it is. But I'll ask you right now, did you have a good time?
It was good. It was a great time.
You have a fun time? I heard the fire alarm got pulled at
that was
2 in the morning on
yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So like Dave said, you froze your nips off because it was a little chilly?
I was fine.
I think that's what he mentioned. Or
Dave
it was just
cold,
everyone was freaking just, why am I out here at 2 in the morning?
I think it was more so that.
We're going to talk
At least
about,
that was my feeling.
We're going to talk about that a little bit more because the last topic we're going to talk about is conventions that we've always wanted to go to and kind of ask you the same thing. We're also going to look at DC and Marvel. Could DC be outproducing Marvel by 2020? And then we're also going to look yet again at the James Gunn firing and how it will affect the MCU Phase 4. Before we get into everything, though, got to give you a little housekeeping spiel. Number one, if you want to help support us, if you want to be the first patron to be on the Rick and Johnny podcast, we have never had a patron on the Rick and Johnny podcast. You could be the first one. Make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. You can also get our sick MVP t-shirt. That also is down below in the description as well. You can also get that at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can also catch MVP each and every day. And last but not least, make sure to go on to iTunes, go on to Apple Podcasts. Even if you're on YouTube, and I'm looking at you right now, I'm looking at you, Steve. Steve, I'm watching you. Go to iTunes, go to Apple Podcasts, give us that 5-star rating, and let us know why you like listening to the podcast each and every week. But Johnny, for the millionth time, 15th millionth time, whatever number, arbitrary number you want to put in front of it, we are going to talk about the James Gunn firing yet again. But this time, we're going to look at how it affects the MCU's Phase 4. So the first thing I want to get into before we talk Phase 4 and beyond is just Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be delayed indefinitely, which first off affects Phase 4 and what we're going to see from Guardians 3, obviously. But also it could affect what Avengers 4 is doing. It could affect Avengers 4 in some way. So the first thing I kind of want to ask you before we get into Phase 4 is, what do you think is going to be the outcome when it comes to Guardians 3? Because there's a huge question mark on it now, basically with them saying, oh, it's delayed indefinitely.
See, with the delay indefinitely, I mean, yeah, the Russos probably have something planned to go around it because they have plans on plans usually. But it does put kind of a snafu in what they were planning right now. As for affecting Avengers 4, since the movie comes out before, I don't know how much it will actually have to change it, because they can still end up with the same results as long as they don't leave it too open-ended.
Well, in the quote that we got from the article that I'm looking at that said that it could affect Avengers 4, the quote that they have, and this is from Batista, who was speaking to Digital Spy, it says, Batista got candid about the difficult situation him and his Guardians co-stars are currently in with the departure of Gunn. Not one to mince his words, especially with regard to the issue at hand. He shared that while he finished filming his scenes for Avengers 4, he really doesn't know if they will be used in the final cut of the film. He says, it's kind of a strange situation to be in now where we've lost our director for Guardians. Guardians 3 is really up in the air, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. It's on permanent hold for now, and that may make a difference in what they do with our characters in Avengers 4. To be honest with you, right now, I really don't know. but I know I'm in Avengers 4. I've shot most of it already. I do have 2 days of reshoots, but other than that, I have some really great scenes that I hope they use. But I guess that it remains to be seen what they'll do with the characters. And then there was another article basically where people were like, whoa, you're kind of spoiling stuff, Batista, because how do we know you're going to come back since you were one of the ones that faded away in the Snapshot? And he said, this was with, is this with the same one? I'm looking really quick. This was with Good Morning Britain. He said, we definitely see more Guardians in the upcoming Avengers, which we've already shot. Oddly enough, I guess I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I was already saying before Avengers 3 was released that I had already filmed Avengers 4 and was signed on for Guardians 3, so I must come back somehow, ... It's comforting, but at the same time, I felt a sense of guilt because I don't know if I was supposed to say something and nobody told me not to say anything. So that is really the main crux of how it could affect Avengers 4 is whether they reshoot Guardians characters and those scenes to set up Guardians 3, or if there's scenes where it's like, we're going to cut this. We're going to leave that to Guardians 3 now and the new director.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They could cut a few scenes out here and there, but like I wouldn't feel like it's terribly detrimental. All they got to do is take stuff out that sets up a Guardians 3. But
or are they going to
they're not going to have
not even touch it because they don't know who the director is going to be?
Well, it's not even that. Like they're going to bring back the Guardians.
Yeah.
At least everyone except Gamora, because Gamora didn't just go away from the snap. So they're going to set up Guardians however like they have to, so it's probably not too open-ended. It's like, hey, the Guardians did their thing, they're off.
The Guardians will return in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Super open-ended. They could be anywhere.
Like, they may not even do that then.
I feel like you have to have it open-ended with them.
Like, I don't mean open-ended in the sense of, like, you need to leave it open-ended where you don't have a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Like, they leave. Okay, that's it. We don't need to know what happens to them after it necessarily. Like, you don't set it up to where they're like, we need to get this done.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, James Gunn was kind of, like, he wasn't working on Avengers 4, but, like, for the Guardian scenes, he was working with the
I think he was, yeah.
To keep the same kind of
feeling
that the Guardians had in their movies. And thenceforth, it's also like, okay, this is what you guys are doing in Avengers 4. This is also what we want to do in the future, so this will possibly set up for what we're going to see with Guardians in the future.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I wasn't going to bring this up at first originally, but I will now since we're talking about reshoots and stuff, is there was another article, if I can find it, that is saying that for reshoots for Avengers 4, they are doing a lot of adding Black Panther and adding Wakanda for those reshoots. Yeah, Avengers 4 reshoots reportedly adding more Black Panther and Wakanda. So now after we're talking about this and seeing the Batista comment of like, hey, they could cut stuff, do you think they would cut Guardian stuff in Avengers 4 to leave it a little bit more open-ended and not step on whatever new director comes in? Because that's a whole another bag of spaghetti that we have yet to get into. But do you think they could be like, oh, we're going to cut some Guardian scenes and replace them with more Black Panther and more Wakanda because he is becoming the more popular of the Marvel heroes right now? Yes.
Yeah. So they might do that just to like, hey, we need to supplement time.
Because his film is up for a Most Popular award, not Best Picture, Most Popular.
I didn't know that was
Johnny.
a thing.
Yeah. So what they're doing for the Academy Awards, and this is for you guys too, I think it's the Oscars or the Academy Awards. I think they're the same thing. But for films that don't really fit Best Picture and what they want in Best Picture, they made a separate category called Most Popular, where Chadwick Boseman is basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is like the sense I'm getting, is basically, no, bullshit, I want a Best Picture. If I win, I want a Best Picture. I don't want this most popular crap.
Well, at least
I want Best Picture.
At least he doesn't want the participation award.
Yeah, no, that's basically what it is. But with
so kudos on him.
With my original question, what were you going to say?
So kudos to him. Yeah, maybe they just want to, hey, we have a time slot to fill. Let's switch it up with some Wakanda stuff. We'll start setting up Black Panther, and then they'll do whatever they need to do for that because we have a Black Panther 2 film coming out. We have a Spider-Man 2 film coming out. We have other movies coming out, so they're going to kind of they'll find their way to work around the Guardians thing. But at some point, they're probably going to try and find someone to replace James Gunn. Because you're not going to not make the Guardians film because that's still going to make... A, that's still going to make you money. That's Disney's thing.
Yeah.
2, you know someone's going to want to see it no matter what. It's like, okay, James Gunn got fired. We're still going to go see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's Marvel and it's a superhero movie.
Exactly.
And
just pick the right director that gives it the same feeling.
And I'm just going to...
try to.
I'm going to say this as a little quip. And it just... You hit me in a certain situation right now where you said, we're still going to go see it. So the big thing for me that I think of is, are the people that said they weren't going to go see it going to see it? We'll never know. The big thing was, don't fire them because they were said before you hired them, stand by your guns. And by your guns, James Gunn. James Gunn and his brother, they're both related to the movie. That was a no pun intended, but it worked out that way.
Keep the pun. We're going to keep that.
Stand by your gun. Hashtag stand by your gun. And
stick with your guns?
Yeah, stick with your gun. Well, we want to make it singular, G-U-N-N.
Okay, my bad.
Stick with your gun. And for those where they're like, I'm not going to go see this movie, fine, let's see it. Like, call their bluff kind of a thing. But that's just
I agree.
Sparked into my head after you said that. The other thing I was going to say, the only thing we have about the reshoots is the Twitter at Atlanta Filming said, based on the locations and the casting, it looks like hashtag Avengers 4 will have a whole lot more hashtag Black Panther in it than hashtag Avengers Infinity War. So that's less a reshoot and more an addition of goodness. So, I mean, really, is it an addition? Is it reshoots? We'll have to wait and see. But for me, before we get into the Phase 4, the last thing that you mentioned that I want to touch is the director for Guardians 3, because Dave brought up an interesting point to me. We've talked about this before. You can check out the original videos for that. I think this is the third time we're touching the James Gunn firing in some way. And before we had mentioned, what directors could come on. And you mentioned Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
And that's one right away. I'm like, boom, that would be perfect. He's already worked with Marvel. He's got that same humorous style, but Dave threw a little curveball into
did Thor,
this.
so we know how.
We have
an example already
of what he can do, and Dave threw a curveball at me when we were out to dinner on Friday. He goes, "Yeah, but it's more of a writer, a screenwriter, like I guess the guild. It's more of them than anything else because it's kind of like when you have a union that's on strike." And then so-and-so still goes to work, you're crossing that picket line.
Yeah, but is there really anyone on strike? No, they fired.
No. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if the guild is not okay with the firing, and because that's a thing, too, they're going to rewrite Guardians because, like we've talked about before, they're going to rewrite that script to take out everything that James Gunn's name is on.
Which is a shame.
Because they just don't want his name anywhere on the product.
And I get that.
They don't even want screenplay or scripted written by James Gunn.
I guess to some degree I get that. At the same time, it's like, I don't because he did a great job and he does a great job.
But they don't want that stain on the movie, Johnny. And that's the thing with the guild, right? If they're not okay with this, then it's like, all right, all of you are a part of this union, so by you accepting this, you're going again, and it's a sticky situation of, it's like, yeah, I get to write this then, but then I'm basically going against the union.
Yeah, but is there a difference between like, I'm rewriting it, or the director going, I'm just directing it?
I think they're one and the same. It's basically if you're a part of the union, you're one big team. And if one of you gets screwed over, are you going to capitalize off that for your own gain? And that's the sticky situation of why it's indefinite right now and who's going to fill that shoe, because there might be some people that go, yeah, I would like to, because they haven't even interviewed anyone for it yet.
No, that's true.
And I mean, they've got time. I mean, they've got time, because eventually it's going to have to go into production soon, because 2020 is coming up, and I'm assuming it wants to come out in that time. But that's the curveball that Dave threw in with the whole Screenwriters Guild and how that could be playing into this as well.
Yeah, you know, that makes it a sticky situation. But the one, like you and I just discussed, real quick, I'm just going to say it would be Taika Waititi.
Yeah, he would be the perfect one.
I think so, because we already seen an example of what he can do. It has generally the same humor. And then, you know what, it's just all about if the guild decides, well, we don't want any of you guys. If you work on it, you're kind of going against everything.
Well, and I don't know if it's a definite, like, hey, don't do this, but it's kind of like that. It's not a hard rule, but it's like a, hey, you're going to be looked down on if you take this kind of a thing. And we're all going to judge you. At the same time, really
it's going to be, at some point, someone's going to have to take it. Because I don't think, even the guild, I don't think is going to, like, ostracize a Disney film forever. Because
Disney's doubled down and said they're not rehiring James Gunn.
Yeah.
They have doubled down and said they are not. So, I mean, basically then we're in that standoff of, like, are they going to rehire James Gunn? Although they said they haven't. Whenever they say stuff like that, I don't believe it, because at any time they could say, well, you know, we thought about it, we're going to rehire him, kind of a thing.
Very true.
So, I mean, just because they've doubled down and said no, I'm not expecting it to happen, but I'm not going to say it's a 0% chance. We're kind of in the standoff right now. The last thing we'll mention is, and this is usually we try to start with this first, but this one has a whole lot to unpack. We looked at Guardians, we looked at Avengers 4. What does this firing mean for Phase 4, though? For the entire Phase 4? Because from what we understand, yes, there are things that the Russos are doing that are more Earth-based, but there was going to be a lot more cosmic stuff, which James Gunn was going to kind of lead this cosmic universe within Phase 4. Yeah, because he's not there anymore.
Mean, they could still, because I know Hemsworth said he would be willing to do more films. He's not necessarily stuck to Earth-based.
No,
He's an Avenger, but, I mean, we just saw in Thor Ragnarok. Perfect example of, hey, we can have a space-based film and not just be Guardians of the Galaxy. So, I mean, that's one start. You can have one of the, like, a Thor tie-in, well, once we get that, like, the paperwork goes through. Maybe a Thor film can introduce Silver Surfer or Beta Ray Bill, because we already had an Easter egg of Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, we did. He was one of the former champions.
Exactly.
Of not the collector, the Grandmaster.
Yes. So that
brothers.
Exactly.
Brothers, got to mix.
Maybe tie that in somehow. But yeah, no, there's a bunch of stuff they can do, and like not Thor Ragnarok, because that would be a specific movie. Any Thor movie can introduce that if you really wanted it to, especially with the power of the Bifrost in the hammer now. Yeah,
and I mean that to me,
axe.
Yeah, with Stormbreaker. Well, it's an axe hammer kind of a thing.
Yeah, I
know. There's to me 3 major points to this Phase 4.
Okay.
The first, and they all have to do with Guardians 3. Guardians 3 is the linchpin in this.
Yeah.
Where the first one, and I'll go least important to most important in my mind. The least important is the future of the Marvel stars for Guardians. Because, and I say that's the least important because we were expecting for many of them that Guardians 3 was going to be the last. Oh, we're going to get a new roster for Guardians in the maybe like 4 or 5 that we would get if they keep doing Guardians movies. Like we would maybe expect like Star-Lord to Chris Pratt to move off, maybe do some more Lego and Jurassic World movies, which interesting point that I got brought up this week by a video that I was watching. They had mentioned that one of the real things that if like Batista comes out and takes his stand with James Gunn, the big one would have been Chris Pratt. Well, if he would have said, hey, you know, if you don't bring James Gunn back, I've got Jurassic World and I've got the Lego movies that I can go spend more time in those movies than I am with your Star-Lord character. I can do that if you want. I don't want to do that, but I could. Like, that was something that I looked at and I'm like, man, I knew, like, because for me, I always felt that Chris Pratt is kind of like playing it safe towards like
He
I
is.
am the highest profile of these actors and actresses in this movie. I don't want to hurt my own self-image.
Yeah.
Going to defend that, but that's a separate story. But the future of the characters and what you're going to do in the future, now with the Batista thing coming out, changes that a little bit. The other two is basically the first one is, if we're going importance, is that Guardians 3 was going to expand the MCU cosmic future. The only thing that throws the linchpin here is who you bring in to set up the story for Guardians 3 and what that cosmic universe is seen at now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more important than the actors because you can always recast and put whoever you want in those Guardians films, but it's not as important as the last one, is that Guardians 3 delay, it creates a release problem because this was a movie that, like I said, they've got time, but from where we sit right now, beginning of September, they have September, October, November, December. They have 4 months before the hit month of they were supposed to start production in 2019 for then a 2020 release.
Yeah.
And that to me is the most important, is how long is this delay going to go on and how is that then going to affect Phase 4? Because the only movie that Marvel has confirmed for Phase 4 is the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. And if, let's say, Guardians does not start production soon enough and can't come out in 2020, what does that mean for the Doctor Strange sequel, the Black Widow movie that they, like, because Black Widow, Doctor Strange, and I believe there was one more. Eternals and Black Panther are kind of the four that people were thinking, with really the Black Widow and Doctor Strange being the ones that people are like, oh, that's what we could see in 2020. How does that affect that? But on the cosmic side, the only one that it would affect is the Eternals.
Yeah.
I'm going to you. I've got nothing else.
Really, I don't know what to say with that.
Do you think that, like, let's say it does get delayed for past January, what would you do if you were Kevin Feige and Marvel? Would you, all right, we're just going to do, like, Black Widow, like, Guardians was supposed to be here, and let's say, like, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, it's like, oh, we're taking this out, Black Widow and Doctor Strange get moved up a little bit.
I would say maybe move those up. Anyone, like I said, the other thing I brought up earlier, you're not stuck with them as being the ones that introduce people in space now.
Yeah.
We have Thor. Like, okay, can we pump out a Thor film that fast? Can we incorporate Doctor Strange into bringing someone in that we wanted to?
Could you do a Doctor Strange? Could you do a Doctor Strange movie and then, like, the teaser be like him and Thor, and then using that to set up a Thor movie? Because I don't know if they
could do that. Yeah.
Because I don't know if they could pump out a Thor movie as
that quickly. Yeah.
No, with the short 4 months that we have before production would need to start for Guardians 3.
Probably not. Maybe not. It depends on how fast Disney wants to work on it.
You need to write it, hire everyone, make sure everyone's on board.
Not very likely, but I mean, I'm not saying it's a no, but it's not very likely.
Yeah.
They probably would more so pump out like the Doctor Strange film and then readjust it to say, okay, introduce like this Thor element because now the two of them work together.
Because I mean, Doctor Strange he looked into, I know it's not cosmic, I guess you can say, but like he looked at Dormammu, which is not very Earth-based. So it's
looked into Loki.
Could he look at, because in the comics, he's also one that, like you mentioned with Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And depending on whenever that deal gets final, and we for sure get X-Men in the MCU, could you set something up to like, okay, Guardians isn't going to take that first look into the cosmic. We're going to have Doctor Strange do that. And how is he going to do that while he is fighting Mordo? Because we're assuming he's going to be the bad villain because that was after number 1. There's also a side story of the Silver Surfer in some way.
Okay, well, I want to say with that instead, it's not really...
Because I'm unpacking a lot.
Doctor Strange isn't really about space. His is more about dimensions.
Yeah.
So there's
kind
a
of
difference.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, exactly. I would go with that as an example. So it's not as
Like his time thing is like a portal gun where you can open up different portals. So
it's a sling ring.
Yeah,
sling ring is like the portal.
Portals to different dimensions.
Yeah. So the sling ring is like the portal gun. So what it is his is more a dimensional thing, which still you can probably find some way to introduce other characters that way. Thor is the one we have right now about space. Yeah, you can possibly have an Avengers in space type thing because they eventually start playing around with that too. But Thor's gonna be your one since we don't really have Guardians to work with right now. So you can like start like dimensional stuff and start bringing that around. And yeah, it's not their one. We want to go universal. We want to go into space more so, but it's a start into something because I mean the other three. What did we say? Black Widow, Black Panther, and
the Eternals.
Eternals, you need space. You need someone to introduce that.
Because that also kind of relates to Thanos in a way. Like Thanos isn't an Eternal, I don't think.
No, he's not.
But it relates a little bit to like they have something to do with Titan as well, and like all the different planets. I'm gonna throw one out at you.
Okay.
What if Doctor Strange movie happens at the very end? And this would all depend on if Tony Stark doesn't die in Avengers 4. Tony Stark comes to Doctor Strange. The bros come together. And basically, he talks to him, invites him, opens the door. We see Charles, Richards. It's the Illuminati. It's the Marvel Illuminati. That's basically like the behind-the-scenes members of like. So you mean in like Civil War? They Civil had War. So
so it would be Charles Xavier.
Yep. Namor is in there, but like I think the two that they would need to kind of change a little bit is Namor because we haven't had him yet, and Black Bolt. But like we have Doctor Strange. You can introduce a Charles Xavier. You can introduce Reed Richards just by showing.
Yeah, exactly. And then, even his name was in the movies once.
Exactly. And we do have Iron Man. We do have Tony Stark. So, I mean, the only ones you would have to change is, and Marvel has done this before, where it's basically, in the comics, we've got these two, but in the movies, instead of Black Bolt and Namor, it's going to be just two other people. Maybe like Black Panther. Because
Black Panther was part of that council. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like, I'm trying to think of who are ones that could be part of that council then. Thor is in charge of the Asgardians, so he's a leader of some group. But like Charles Xavier would be a great one to throw in there.
So many times.
They could, yeah. They changed. I am really trying to think because I mean, it could be a way to introduce either Namor or someone else because
they've had products where it's like, a Namor like TV series or a Namor movie. We just haven't had Namor yet. So it's like, are they going to could they do this? And then that's a way to introduce Namor in some way?
That could be at least I wouldn't make it a way to introduce like multiple people.
Just to know, like
introduce
he's
one.
Here.
He's in the universe.
Yeah.
Namor, like we don't even need to make a movie about him necessarily now. But hey, Namor's in the universe. Same with Black Bolt. They kind of already did have Black Bolt, but that was a
very big fail.
The one season or partial season
from what
series
I was
going to mention it was a fail.
It's a fail.
I heard it was a fail too. I didn't even check it out yet.
I heard so many bad things about it.
But Black Bolt was in the Marvel universe. That's what it was shown. At least the TV series
want that
universe.
Black Bolt to still
I didn't say that Black Bolt.
I'm just saying, like, do you want that Black Bolt to still be in the universe, or do you want to redo it?
Maybe redo it, have a different Black Bolt. But that's why, like, hey, who are these two people on the council? But you have them in like the full garb of whatever they're supposed to wear. Like Namor is dressed as Namor, Black Bolt is dressed as Black Bolt. Do you have any other like leadership? Well, ones we've already seen that are like a leader of a group.
Unless they did like the only thing I can think of is, let's say they're not going to do Black Bolt or Namor, having Black Panther for the Wakanda side of things,
which he's supposed to be part of that council anyways,
and maybe like a Nick Fury, depending on what happens.
I could
with
see
him in
a Nick Fury or whoever is in charge at that point of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, because like, hey, I'm part of this.
We're like the MCU one might be Tony, Doctor Strange, Nick Fury, Black Panther of the characters we've already seen. Then that way the only ones you're introducing is Reed Richards and Charles Xavier. Kind of showing, and that would be the first thing of like, hey, the deal went through. Boom, they're all together. The Illuminati have been meeting secretly while everything else has been going on.
Yeah,
just plotting and scheming.
Here's another one, or even this is like their introduction to that Illuminati, as you're calling it.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, no, we need to start this group so we all have a voice in what the hell's going on.
Because of what happened with Thanos.
With Thanos, we all need to have like a group, like we all need to talk. We all need to be part of this. To put in that as well, let's say because the contracts are up, Chris Evans doesn't want to do it anymore. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to do it for other reasons as well.
Because let's put it here. It says the Illuminati was a secret organization comprised of several of the world's most powerful superheroes, and then they name all of them. These 6 men worked together for an unspecified amount of time to mold and shape the status of the superhuman world and the world around it.
Yeah.
Civil War's already happened. The Geneva Convention or the Geneva Accords have already happened. We know that, hey, you know what? All that's going on. We're kind of shook up right now. Tony's not talking to Cap, and Hulk is like, what's going on? This is bigger than you two. Fucking get together and let's do this. This could be the start of, hey, Thanos happened. Civil War's going on. We need to all get together. And that's why they bring in Charles of like, hey, Charles, we haven't had this problem yet, but it's coming the mutant way too. And maybe that would be a cool like after credit scene, or maybe they set that up with Doctor Strange at the end of Doctor Strange to then leapfrog into Phase 4.
And let's put it this way. Let's say let's say Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to re-sign his contract because like they're starting this idea up.
Black Panther.
Okay, again, Black Panther is part of what I'm trying to say.
So we're saying he's already a part of it.
I'm saying he's already a part of it because he was already part of that group.
Yeah.
Either two of the other main Avengers could do it. Let's say, I don't know.
Whoever takes on the mantle of Cap. If Cap moves on.
If he does, if one of those two, or I'd say Thor or Banner could do it because they were one of the OG Avengers.
They could.
So it's like,
and Thor would bring in the cosmic side of things.
And like since he's already he's leader, he's like not leader, but he's OG Avenger. He's leader of his Guardians and bring in the cosmic side, or Banner because he's like, hey, I'm Earthbound. I'm now the main Avenger.
Out of those two, I would pick Banner only because with Thor, it's like if it's a superhuman world and the world around it. He's not going to be too concerned. After Thanos is gone, he's not going to be too concerned with what's going on Earth. He's going to be more concerned with what's going on in space.
He's going to be policing things up again.
Basically.
As he keeps having to do over and over again.
And for that reason, I would go with Banner. Same. Banner is more Earthbound to things.
And finally, like, give him
I don't know how that helps the cosmic universe, but we'll see.
I mean, he's the one that has ties with Thor, and then that brings that in. So,
yeah.
I mean, or, like I said, I would say one of those two would be put on a seat at that council.
The council.
Yeah. And then there you go. You have your Avengers tie-in because, like I said, only because I'm trying to think who else could be put in there because Evans and Downey Jr. are not.
Could be done.
They could be done with the whole thing after this.
And I mean, like I was telling you, the Bruce Campbell comments of when he was like, he even mentioned in the comments that he made of like, yeah, I feel sorry for anyone who takes on a superhero role because I was like, great, you're in that fucking suit for 10 years. And I'm like, Tony Stark. Tony Stark's been in that suit for 10 years. Chris Evans has been in that suit for 10 years. Yeah, I know I said Tony Stark instead of Robert Downey Jr.
That's how far
it is right now. But
to be fair, for Bruce Campbell, the only thing I think of him as is Ash.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, that's been a long time, and that's the only thing I knew him
like
for.
what 1 or 2 years ago he just had another Netflix series of the same thing, Evil Dead versus Ash.
Yeah,
so that's the first thing I think of.
I'm gonna look up his IMDb. IMDb. I was like, am I saying it wrong? Yeah, his most popular movies known for Army of Darkness, which he was Ash, Bubba Hotep. I've never seen that movie. Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, where he was Ash.
Yep.
So I mean, 3 of the 4. He's going to be in the Tangled TV series. What else has he been in that's not considered that? Oh, he was in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Oh, wow.
He was in the Fargo TV series, Burn Notice TV series. He was Winky the Gatekeeper in Oz the Great and the Powerful. He was a extreme reporter in the Amazing Spider-Man game.
Huh.
He's also in Cars 2. There's a little bit, but what do you know him for? You don't know him for all of that.
I know him as
for Ash from Evil Dead, Army of Darkness. But any final thoughts on this before we move on to some DC Marvel stuff?
No, it'll be interesting what route they take because of this Guardian stuff.
And this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. What do you think about the James Gunn hiring? How does it affect Guardians 3? What will it mean for Marvel Phase 4? We've gone quite a bit on this one. We've gone about over a half hour with this one. So let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section.